All right, thanks for joining me today on my channel, and this is Discovering My Dividends. I'm in the series talking about dividends. So I hope you'll follow on, click subscribe and like to do that. Just a small note, I'm not an advisor, so don't look at this as advice, it's more entertainment. If you're getting information out of this that helps you, that's fantastic, but make sure you go in and check out that this information that you've decided to use fits with your portfolio, or check with an advisor. All right, so here's the thing. How do dividend stocks and dividends help grow my portfolio? Regular income, compounding returns, total returns, stability and lower volatility, long-term growth, inflation hedge, reinvestment opportunities, attractive yields, tax advantages, investor discipline. Several different ways how dividends and dividend stocks can help grow your portfolio. We're not going to dive into all those today, and you're wondering, well, why make up the video about it? Well, each one of those can vary depending on the strategy you're having. So if we don't know what the strategy is, it's really hard to pinpoint each one of those ideas, and it's going to be far too diverse to talk about all the different strategies with those particular areas. Now I can break them down into hypotheticals, but essentially what we want to do is we want to look at what kind of strategy we have and then apply some of these ideas and how we can grow our dividends. So we want to look at these and see how we can grow our portfolio. So the last one, the investor discipline, I just want to touch on that because essentially what that does is when you look at a dividend strategy, you are essentially putting yourself in a place where now you need to be a little bit more patient with things and do a little bit more research to understand how a company is going to potentially help you grow, as opposed to just buying a company that is a growth company and saying, now I paid for it, let's go, take off, right? You want to do all that research to find the right company in a growth strategy. But when you're in a dividend strategy, you got to definitely know what it is you're trying to achieve and how you're going to apply those dividend strategies to get to where you're going. So how I've done that is, I've kind of mentioned I started out as a day trader in a previous video. Well, as a day trader, what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to spend hours and days sitting in front of a computer waiting for that, little ticker to pop up. Whereas dividend stocks, I am far more interested in doing the research and investigating companies and finding information out and doing some of that to ensure what I'm going to buy is actually going to go the direction I want it to, or at least for the time when I'm holding it anyway. So I'm going to give you more of a personal view of what I'm looking at, and you can adapt it to your own situation. So where I came across my strategy here with dividend stocks and trying to do that with the swing trading is I don't have a ton of time and I don't have a ton of money, so I'm going to reinvest in dividend stocks. Now, what I'm looking for though is a stock that I can swing trade. And the reason I came across this strategy was I listened to a Warren Buffett interview, and he was talking about how understanding what it is you're trying to do when you're trading, so that when you go ahead and purchase the stock, you're actually going to get the result that you're looking for. And what he ended up saying is, you don't necessarily have to go out and try and get all that value in one day. You can sometimes find stocks that will go up 100% in a year. You just have to pay attention to what that stock or that industry is doing, and then look for the stocks that have dips in value. So the price will go down, but then is that stock actually worth less than it was before it dropped in price, or is it potentially worth more? And if stocks constantly have these ups and downs, there's always room to buy a stock that's now below its actual value, and the potential to sell it when it's above its actual value. So therefore, I've decided I can go ahead and do swing trading with dividend stocks. Now, because I want to have a passive income in the future, and I do want to have dividend stocks, I'm buying stocks that I am wanting to hold on in the long term. So I've done more research on dividend stocks that are going to potentially pay out in the long term and have that potential long-term hold. So therefore, why would I do a swing trade? Well, my swing trade is going to be selling off 20 to 50% of my portfolio in that particular stock when it is high. So I'm still holding some of it in the long term, but when it goes back down, I want to buy probably about 50% of the value or more, or maybe even double, depending on what cash flow I have at the time. So I'll buy more of it and then I'll sell when it's high again. So as I'm doing this with each individual stock, I'm now creating an opportunity for growth as well as using my dividends to earn extra cash flow whenever those dividends are paid out. In this respect, I'm actually doing what I just mentioned as total returns. So it's not just the value of the dividend that I'm getting, it's also the potential of the stock being bought at a lower price and then selling it at a higher price, depending on the ups and downs of the stock throughout the year. And of course, some stocks I don't want to sell off because, as I've mentioned already, there are stocks, and I'm sorry, that was in another video, but stocks that you potentially see rising continually over time. And so they have little downs, but in essence, they're on a upward trajectory. So those stocks, I'm probably not going to go with that same kind of strategy because I want to hold them indefinitely. But stocks that tend to have a lot of ups and downs, I'm definitely going to be trying to find those down areas and sell some of it in the up area. If they have a long-term growth projection, I'm hopefully going to keep some of those, but every time they drop, I'm going to buy more. Every time they go up, I'm going to sell some of them. So I'm getting that potential for my dividend stocks to pay me out in multiple ways. All right, so if you are looking at how dividends and dividend stocks can help grow your portfolio, I gave you a whole list of things there. I give an example of how I'm looking at my dividends and my dividend growth. Those are ways that I'm looking at trying to build my portfolio. There is so many different ways and options that you can do this, and I'm going to try and touch on as many of those in future videos. Sorry that this was really kind of basic, but essentially what you can get from that is you can take your dividend stocks and you can look at building your portfolio in multiple different ways. And really, essentially, it comes down to what your preferences are and what you're trying to achieve and how long you want to do that, what kind of timeline you're on. Thanks for joining me today. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think of how you're going to grow your portfolio, and click subscribe and like so you can follow along. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.